into the drafts behind a rival, and there's a reason why they trust this guy as their coach. He's really been doing a lot of work for the team, pretty much meticulously studying every single motion by Dig.
I feel like if I'm Dig in this game, what I'm looking for is I want them to run the type of things that made them one of the most dominant teams and won them the Summer LAN and made them one of the top teams on the online split, and that's just run a full pressure early game comp. I want to see Zeros on one of his best characters. I want to see if that type of style shift helps them, and if they end up stomping the game in like 22 minutes, that is a huge momentum swing. It gets their confidence back. They feel like they're in their groove, and then they just have to 2-0 like any online split.
Well, now that Dignitas have the first pick selection in game number 3, what do you think they're going to try and look for here?
Erlang Shen, potentially. Something very aggressive for variety, actually.
I love that, because what I'm looking at here is you take the Fafnir away from Kalas. Trixtank is really good with it as well. And now they put themselves in the position where they have Osiris and Erlang open. They likely get one of them anyway, so you get variety on one of his best characters, Osiris taken by rival. And then you can go ahead, and along with the Bologna or Erlang, whatever they would go, I would go ahead and take Zero's God, and then I feel like they have a really strong setup to their draft.
Even Camazotz could be picked up by Dignitas. That could be run by Variety as well as Cuvo Fred if they really wanted to.
I do feel as though the Camazotz might suffer a bit more against the Osiris, so if Dignitas were to opt for that, it'd probably be headed for a jungle.
I think if I'm Dig, I'd rather top 2, or I'd rather top 3 Zeros and Variety here. I think if I'm looking at Cuvo's God pool, he still has Kama, he still has Circuit, he has Rat, he has Ravana, he still has multiple gods that he can play. So I'm not really worried about him so much right here.
And the AMC pick as well, I think, is incredibly important for Rival, because there is still a little bit of flexibility left here as to whether or not that's going to be headed for mid. I can't imagine it being the case, since Wolfie really tends to favor those mid mages.
And very similar to their game 1, Rival goes ahead and they pick winning side lane push characters. Osiris really good at fighting level 1. AMC has really good push level 1. So if they can form their comp around that and play off those side lanes, you might see something like Wolfie, where in the first game he just farmed on Zeus. It could be something similar.
If Dignitas don't get a pick for Zero Sin now, then guaranteed Rival's going to ban away Morgan and Soul the same way they've been doing games number 1 and 2. So they should know that this is about to happen.
I really want to see, and not necessarily the Morgan, but definitely at least one of those two that we know Zeros is just
I think Sol Hoyi here would be completely insane. You have 2 auto attackers with the Fafnir.
Yeah.
You can kite away from the Osiris, but again, because of the situation in solo, because they're putting this pressure on a Deathwalker, they feel like they have to pick an Erlang, or they have to pick something for variety.
With an Athena last pick before the secondary ban phase for Rival, not a bad idea here to get that global pressure.
Historically, it has also been his go-to pick after the Fafnir.
True.
It's usually either the Athena. We've also seen the Ares a couple of times, and the very occasional Amir. But I think Athena is also a pretty strong support pick, because in a sense, she can kind of accomplish the same thing that Rival have been looking for in all of their drafts so far.
And it doesn't really matter what Wolfie plays after this Athena pick, because he'll just get free abilities guaranteed landed, and more than likely the most optimal mid-mage pick for damage burst with Athena would be that Scylla.
And I thought you made a good point, Toli, about the Soul and the Morgan being banned out every time by Rival. They actually go with the Nemesis this time, which means they're looking towards Cuvo. So unless they 4th pick a mage here, that means Zeros is going to get one of those 2 characters that he hasn't touched the rest of the set.
Maybe this is on purpose from Rival, just to get him a little bit out of the groove here. Deathwalker actually smiling after that.
Well, it could also
Soul
be
ban.
a read, right? Maybe they're just saying, like, oh, we're wasting our bans. They want Thoth no matter what. And maybe they're trying to take that read and then also expose Cuvo.
Oh, or since they have next pick, maybe they're the ones that are going to take Morgan here and ban away the Soul.
That's what I was maybe thinking about just now, but Morgan being stripped away from Dignitas, there's really no one on Dig so far that I think you would want to utilize that Morgan. Well, I mean, granted, Morgan is always a great god to have on your side. You can maybe have the Osiris or the Erlang for your team, but you're used to seeing that with like the Ratataskers, the Camazotz, something that you can double ult.
And I think the reasoning here is trying to blow up Fafnir for Trixtank. Anytime you're going in the dragon form, drop the cripple underneath, not allowing him to jump away.
I think an even harder matchup is if they just taunt Variety on the Erlang. Erlang gets countered or has the hardest time dealing with the Poseidon if it gets to the mid game, especially if you get that Gem of Isolation on, you don't have a Heavenly. That could be a big problem for Variety.
Do you think that this Poseidon pick is going to potentially force an early Aegis out of either Variety or Trixtank?
Possibly. I don't think either would start with it, but it is possible. The thing I think is interesting is that because of the Athena, they instantly banned Nox, which was otherwise ignored the whole set. And then they banned Raijin, which doesn't really you know, it doesn't really follow up off of Athena the same way. It's not like the taunt, Poseidon combo, stuff like that. So it's interesting that Wolfie, I believe, played Poseidon a good bit in the online split, and they have characters that don't deal well with the cripple.
Those two bans, I think, are just allowing Dignitas now to freely penetrate that backline, right? Nox can easily disrupt. Raijin Taiko drums can push and pull you away. Poseidon, it has been played by Baskin yesterday in game number 4 against Space Station. Didn't have so much success, but with these buffs, it seems that Rival are electing to go this route. And with the cripple field, Ratatasker and Thoth kind of get shut down by that Whirlpool.
So I actually like the Thoth this game more than the other 2 games, because in this scenario, Rival doesn't really, they don't have the Odin from the game 1, and they don't have the Kabrakan or anything that can lock him in. With this game, he should be out of range of those Athena dash taunt combos, and he can poke Poseidon from a much longer range, and one stun could be very impactful, but it's going to be Athena. Is that Athena jungle?
That's an Athena jungle, I believe.
Wow.
It could also possibly be the Athena in the solo lane, because they could also have that.
I would keep
pressure.
Deathwalker on the Osiris. I think it'll probably be an Athena jungle, but they absolutely could switch that.
This is really interesting. They have a lot of space control between the Sylvanas and Athena. It's going to be very difficult.
Well, something
to
that I like as well,
backline.
I was just saying that the Thoth can poke the Poseidon from a longer range. You now heal that poke, and also if the rat lands on your Poseidon, you Sylvanas out, and then you're fine.
Well, you guys already saw what happened in the first 2 games. I got to know, what are your predictions for game 3?
Rival 3-0.
Yeah, this is so much momentum for Rival. I don't see them losing game number 3 here. It's a little bit of spicy picks. It could go either way, but I'm going to give my hat to Rival.
I'm going to say 3rd time's the charm as well for Team Rival, but we've got F-Dot and Aggro to let us find out.
Wolfie started his successful push playing Poseidon. And if you look across the way for Team Dignitas, all of their characters get destroyed by Poseidon. I think it'd be hard pressed to find somebody that said Dignitas won the draft.
Yeah, I think that I really like where this draft went for Rival. I mean, the Athena, everyone in the building thought that was going to be going for Kalas. Every single person did, no doubt, because as PBM mentioned on the desk, that has historically been his backup to Fafnir for a long time. That was his main before Fafnir really came out, and then it kind of took a back seat. But he had a phenomenal number of performances against this exact Dig roster at DreamHack Valencia with Athena support. So whenever they last picked the Sylvanas, which gives you some sustain to heal up that poke from the Thoth, from the Ratatasker, all of a sudden Dignitas is like, oh man, you know, we didn't. I don't think they even considered that could have gone to Ice Ice Baby in the jungle.
Not at all.
Now I am a little bit concerned if Rival fall behind early that they won't have enough damage to keep it up, because they don't have a lot of burst through the mid game when behind. Poseidon, everyone always talks about Poseidon being Kraken dude, and to some extent he is. But the thing that makes Poseidon competitively viable is the Whirlpool, is the lockdown that it can provide. And Athena Poseidon is one of the most just one of the most difficult combos in Smite to work around, because if you don't have purification beads, as soon as Poseidon gets Gem of Isolation, you are probably dead in the midst of a team fight.
Arkle doesn't have purification beads. Kalas finds the root right away, and Arkle forced the beads out of it. Ricochet not going to hit any god, but certainly hits the minions, and that's more important at this moment in time.
That's a signal for Ice Ice Baby to just head on over to the right-hand side and see if he can get a gank going onto Arkle. And quite a bit of poke going to happen here between that AMC and Sylvanas in the early game.
Ricochet again. Now Vote dealing with Tricks Tank back and forth. Full commit. There's a stun onto Vote, but a nice shell. And that'll help him out for now. Vote NBK is formerly known. Got to heal up just a little bit.
And that's what you expect from this early push, at least, in this side of the map. I mean, once you hit level 2, now Rival has a much better chance of trying to play aggressive, because neither AMC nor Sylvanas have a way to get away from the Fafnir or the Huyi that are jumping on top of them. But that level 1 clear going Rival's way was no surprise. But in my mind, Vote and Kalas were just a little bit too aggressive there. If they just allow everyone to go back to their side of the map and then re-engage whenever the waves hit 2, they should be able to out-clear to get level 2 first, and then they can play aggressive after that. By allowing Vote to take so much poke from Tricks Tank's autos, literally just a little dwarf hammering away at him, all of a sudden now it's Dignitas with the advantage in that lane.
Brief pause here. Deathwalker running into some trouble, so Team Rival going to take care of that as we head on. But up 2-0. Team Rival have looked really strong these past 2 games. You know, I was talking to some of the players out in the pit, and we were just sort of discussing that last game. Nobody ever. It felt like Dignitas was in driver's seat the entire time, but they never really had a lead.
No, and Rival was always right there. Every time you were like, okay, Dignitas won a team fight. Let's take a look at the gold difference, and Rival's still winning there. Like, what?
Because they kept getting like gold furies and picks and
exactly, and farming the map well. They never seemed out of it when it came to their attitudes or where they really were in the overall stage of the game. So you know that these guys are playing with a ton of confidence right now. When you can lose, when you can be losing for an entire game like that, lose all 3 of your Phoenixes, make a historic stand, and then come back and win in an hour, you got to be feeling pretty good.
Yeah, right here. This guy, Trix Tank, certainly been one of the shining lights, I think, for Dignitas. He's been able to find these initiations. He's been able to find these knockups, and the Sylvanas play was great, but there just didn't seem to be follow-up. Dignitas seemed to be on a couple of different pages here.
Yeah, did not work as well as a unit as we saw them do at at DreamHack Valencia in the summer. That was the land that they ended up winning. They ended up actually going up 2-0 against Team Rival. Rival comes back and wins 2 in a row, and then Dignitas win game 5. Now it's Dignitas' turn to try and win 2, but maybe 3 in a row and try and find that reverse sweep.
Well, this issue seems to be with Trix Tank, as we see new admin Ovrin really talking to him there. So trying to figure out whatever that is as we can get game number 3 on, which could be the final game if Rival has their way. And, you know, I don't look too much into trends, but yesterday we saw the full 5 games and then just a 3-hour. So today we saw the full 5 games. Maybe we'll have a 3-hour.
We might. And going back to the draft, I've talked already about how much I love this Poseidon pick for Wolfie and how well can he play it in the early game is going to be the question. Because if he needs to get into the boots and into the Gem of Isolation very quickly, because this whole composition is set up around taunts into Whirlpool. As long as that is happening, everything should be okay for Rival. Now, the problem with a composition like that is when a team has purification beads up and you kind of bait yourself. You say, hey, come get me. You know, your combo's right here waiting. You beads that, and then you kill the Athena, and then you can kind of roll through the rest of that team fight. That's where the Kraken is going to be important to kind of deter some of that aggression onto Ice Ice Baby off of some relic usage. And that's another one of the things that's so potent about the Athena-Poseidon combo is every time you see Poseidon, you want to start off the game with Aegis because you don't want to get gobbled up. But you need purification beads against Athena, especially in Athena jungle, who's going to be all over the map. So now, until level 12, look at the relic choices. Beads. So as soon as Cuvo, as soon as Zero, as soon as Arkil doesn't have those, all of a sudden, it's going to be Kraken City for those dudes.
I mean, it's the same idea behind the Aegis, right? Just burn one so that you're able to go ahead and really bring the noise here. And the Athena jungle, the Poseidon in the mid lane, you know, these are the choices that you always want to draft, but are difficult to choose because you don't know if the players can pilot them. Ice Ice and Wolfie, on these 2 picks in particular, have been successful going back to last year, going back to a different org and a different coach. These are like staple picks. We talked about variety and what it's like to go back to that tier.
Right.
That's what we're seeing out of Ice Ice and Wolfie here.
Yeah, I love it. And I love that. I always talk about comfort picks and how important they are to have it land. And this is another example of a really good opportunity to bring them out in a scenario where you're coming off a ton of momentum. It's all in your favor, and you can close out against one of the top teams in the world very early.
Aggressive play by Arkle, looking for the knockup and finds it. On to Vote. But he's able to eat back more damage than he sends out, actually.
Love the preemptive wisp there from Kalas. A lot of support players want to hold that, try and make sure they can get some damage out of it as well. But more important there than the damage were the physical protections coming from it to make sure that Vote was going to be safe. Even through the shell, Trix and Arco end up taking more damage than Vote and Kalas.
One of the nice things that I like about Team Rival's composition is that, you know, you were talking... The problem for this comp is if they don't get themselves going, then they're going to find some trouble because specifically the Athena in the jungle will falter if he falls behind because of lack of damage. But at the end of the day, you still got to taunt into a Kraken. And that's enough to lean on, I think, if Team Rival have a game like last game where they don't really get ahead, but they don't really fall behind, you can still lean on that taunt just by itself.
I mean, anytime you've got taunt and any sort of big damage, you always have an opportunity to make a game-changing play. If a team gets greedy with their positioning, they don't respect how much damage you're going to be doing in any given stage. And I know I've talked so much about baiting up purification beads and looking at Cuvo, Zeros, and Arkil, but this Poseidon pick also does beautifully against Trix Tank on the Fafnir.
Word. One
of the best matchups against Fafnir is as soon as he goes into that dragon form where everything's about to get real and you're like, oh no, we got to run away, you just slip a little Whirlpool underneath there. You got a Kraken waiting for him on the transform. He's dead before he can ever try and use that leap to get away.
Rival looking for their own blue buff. Going to get collapsed on here. QL Fred zoning out Ice Ice Baby. Deathwalker knocked up and able to walk away. And thanks to Collis showing a little bit of presence. There's a nice little hit from Variety, but Deathwalker still relatively safe and sound. Wolfie makes the rotation from mid lane. Now all of a sudden it's Dignitas that find themselves in a precarious situation. Shots, Collis able to walk out of all of them. There's the pull, the Kraken is good. QL Fred smoked out by Ice Ice Baby. Boom! The big stump from the Athena.
Man, Wolfie right on time off that knockup from Kalas. Not too early, not too late, just right for first blood for Rival. Trix went back trying to get that speed buff, but I don't think he got it.
Whirlpool, Whirlpool. Wolfie with the kill. 2-zip very early on here. And you can see the, the cooldown boots actually being picked up by the Athena this time around. Usually you see the penetration boots, but Ice Ice Baby going for more of a facilitator role.
Exactly. He knows he's got that Poseidon there with him to do the damage necessary. And even going to try and steal away these back camps of knowing that Cuvo is going to go for the blue buff. Now Cuvo doesn't get blue. He doesn't get backs. And all he's got to do is walk to lane and try and get some extra farm there. Love that play from Ice Ice Baby.
And that's scary. This is when Athena is perhaps at her scariest, if not when she picks up that secondary item, if it's offensive. Is once you finish your, I'll say offensive boots, because like I said, usually we see pen, but the cooldown boots still giving you some power, and you've got some pizzazz with that, with the shaker. What is that?
The Sands of Time?
Yeah, that one. The shaker. Right now, Wolfie getting shaken up here. 3 players surrounded the Poseidon. He's going to go down into the depths. Variety goes ahead and gets credit for the kill. But yeah, just a little bit of power, and Athena's able to really make that shield wall hurt.
Wow, Deathwalker gets that blue buff. Everything coming up Rival right now, all ready for him.
I like that one. Coming up Rival. It's cute.
Yeah, you use one like that sometimes, don't you?
Yeah, I said, well, it's the classic. Everything coming up Millhouse.
Yeah.
It's an old Simpsons quote. Right now, Ice Ice Baby going to grab Arkle. Get his beads.
Ooh.
Oh, just barely to the right as Arkle finds the dash to the left.
So with so many junglers, we say, oh, that's beads. Now, you know, he can come back and gank. Hunbat's got beads. Now he can come back and use Fear No Evil for the next, 2.5 minutes or so.
Taunt.
But it's not always easy. It's not always easy to do that. With Athena, it's as easy as, ult me, his dash is down, we can kill him easy. Now that Ice Ice Baby's used the ultimate, it's going to take a little bit longer, but he's got 20% CDR between the boots and the Sands of Time.
Wolfie gets hit by a stun, Wolfie gets hit by zeros, and Wolfie gets hit by zeros one more time. And the mid laner evens things up 2-2 for Team Dig.
Good idea from Dignitas to focus down the critical part of this combination in that Poseidon. Athena can get ahead, but she's not really the one that's going to be doing the damage, going to be doing the things that make you unable to dash away. That's the Poseidon. So shut down Wolfie, get him behind early on, and make sure that even if you do get hit by that Athena taunt Whirlpool combo, maybe you won't be doing quite as much damage to you.
Really intricate play from Team Dignitas there, all about the butterfly effect. They look to pincer the solo laner, forcing the Athena ultimate over to the right side, saving Deathwalker, and then immediately, as soon as that Athena ult is served, you see Cubo Fred, who is looking for the flank around, immediately come towards mid, helping out on the kill, should they need him, because they wanted to focus Wolfie the entire time, just needed to bait out Ice Ice's ultimate.
Now, at the same token of shutting down Wolfie to make sure he's not doing quite as much damage, it's not that late game mage where you need 4 or 5 items to really be that annoyance for this composition for Wolfie. All he really needs, in my mind, is Spear of the Magus and a Gem of Isolation, and he's going to be able to do his job.
Cubo in the jungle, up in the sky. Looking for the right-hand side as the invade is happening from Ice Ice, and he gets it! Ice Ice successfully able to snatch away the speed. Here comes help as Ice Ice brought down to half HP. The taunt's good. Wolfie takes care of Trixie off camera, and Ice Ice Baby trying to escape Variety.
He might be able to. Yeah, Ice is out. Now Deathwalker's looking for zeros underneath that mid tower. Forces out the purification beads, and that's more pressure now for Wolfie in the mid lane.
Tower. Deathwalker doesn't care about the lack of the kill right there. I mean, Deathwalker, he's already got 2 assists. Don't even need them. It's all about the tier 1 tower.
And that's more pressure for Wolfie in the mid lane and less ability for Zeros to play aggressive with that Thoth. I mean, how often have we seen Zeros in this set try and use that dash aggressively to set up for a stun? You know, dash to the side, not putting yourself in position to you know, not in the front line, but just giving yourself the option of using that long range stun. Now, even if he's dashing sideways, dashing backwards, still pretty far away from a tower. If you're fighting around mid camps, you're fighting around Gold Fury, it's a lot harder to be comfortable using that dash in an aggressive manner like that without your tier 1.
I'm really interested to see where Wolfie goes with this build. One of my favorite things is the early Spear of the Magus.
Love it.
It just chews through so much of the protection.
It's true damage, basically. I mean, you're talking, you get those 5 stacks, you're going to be in a good spot. Vote not in a good spot. Now he's already used the beads. Might be juking himself to death. Tried to turn it around onto Arkil. Love the idea.
No, he juked. It looked like he was juking himself to death because he knew he had help from the Athena. Unfortunately, came a little bit too late. Wolfie slow as well. Kraken Man going to deal damage to Kilo Fred, but it's all Quavo, baby. Ice falls down 2 for none. Dignitas.
Vote just too early on the purification beads, maybe giving Arco a little bit too much respect that he was going to hit some crazy bounce off the wall to stun him with the mark. If he holds those beads, that allows him to just run straight, go to the tower, beads the hammer from Trix Tank, and we'll be A-okay. Instead, and then he starts to juke around. If he hits that stinger onto Arkil and insta-kills him with the Athena ult, we're talking about a crazy, you know, 2-on-2 play in the duo lane. But even still, with Cubo Fred coming, that's going to end up being in Dignitas' favor probably either way.
Everything was just a little bit too slow for my liking, Aggro. I think Rival, if they make that play again and they speed everything up by 1.5 seconds, that becomes the highlight play you're talking about. It was just, the communication was just a little bit too slow. Hey, look at this battle. Guardian versus Guardian. This summer, Trix Tank, Collis, no damage.
They did have a battle this summer. Trix Tank, I saw that movie. Trix Tank won.
Yeah, this is actually the replay from Summer Finals. So this is Dig Rival, take 2.
Rivals Revenge.
I like that.
That's good, right?
No, that was good.
Thanks, man.
The voice, not so much.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I don't have that. I don't have that going for me. But
You just don't have it.
yeah, I don't. You don't have to rub it in.
Well, you can be the writer. It works out. It's all about a team. That's what we have here. Teamwork makes the dream work, as Taco would say. And right now, Team Rival absolutely making it happen. Red just seeping into Team Dignitas' jungle. Cubo able to actually secure his speed buff this time, but Rival not letting them feel comfortable whatsoever.
Now, the first few games in this set, both Wolfie and Zeros have been rushing this Warlock Sash, trying to get it going early, trying to hit that 100 stack mark as early as possible. This time, Wolfie does go for that early Spear of the Magus, which we both discussed that we love.
Yeah.
But Zero still went for that Warlock Sash, and he's already nearing 75 stacks, 3/4 done with this item. So that Kraken is going to be a little bit harder to finish off Zeros. Won't have that 100-0 potential until Wolfie gets another item.
But it's also about the bigger picture, right? Items do not exist in a vacuum. And I particularly like the Spear of the Magus because you also have a magical jungler, Athena, who with the Void Stone, that's what I was talking about, another offensive item. Fantastic choice. The Void Stone has gotten really good here of late. And Sylvanas, make no bones about it, is also going to provide a little bit of damage by way of these wisps. And that's going to be helped out by the spear as well. Wolfie picks this up knowing his teammates are going to be amplified as well.
No, I completely agree. I think this is absolutely the right build for Wolfie. It's just that he won't have that big 100-0 potential onto Zeros, not through any fault of his own build, but more looking at the build that Zeros has gone for with that early Warlock Sash. Right. But again, that's not Wolfie's job in this game. It's to follow up off of Athena Taunt and off of Colossus' roots and pulls, and that's it. That's all he has to do. Yep. And that's why he went for this penetration option, which helps augment those other magical damage dealers, as you pointed out, and now working towards what needs to be a gem of isolation.
I mean, we were having a laugh before, you know, talking about like teamwork between you and I. But I mean, when it comes down to it, Rival, sure, in your ranked game, you're kind of building so that you yourself can kill somebody 100-0. But Rival are well aware that it's nobody's job in particular to 100-0 anybody, especially when you have an Athena jungle. If you're rocking a Loki or you're rocking a Naja, that conversation changes. But this is all about I do 40%, you do 40%, you do 20%, and somebody's dead.
I love the way Wolfie's clearing the waves right now. Even that little tiny group up in the mid lane. Wolfie uses his 1, his Tidal Surge, his 2, his Trident, holding on to the Whirlpool. You want to hold on to your most important abilities if you don't need them to clear the wave, and that just goes back to the idea of what this entire composition is built around for Rival. Wolfie's not trying to use Whirlpool in any scenario where there isn't going to be some sort of setup for him.
Ice now building a little bit more defensively. Likely to see a Breastplate of Valor, I think, to really bring out some of that CDR.
Could be it probably won't be, and I agree, it's probably going to be a Breastplate of Valor, but I think that Spectral Armor is an item that we haven't seen enough of recently, and one that does very well up against Ratatosker, where the big part of Ratatosker's kit that makes him so effective as a jungler right now is that protection shred off the Flurry of Acorns. Or even when you get ulted by him, you know, if he comes landing down and immediately gets feared away from you, it prevents a lot of the follow-up. It gives a lot of disruption. That is a really disorienting item to get hit by.
Yeah, it is.
It can be effective in a situation like this.
It's a fun item. The last time I really thought about it was, we've got Adventures of Hercopolis coming out, but before we had a tainted arena with holes in the floor, Cyclone Spin bought that item and forced people into the hole.
Yeah, that was messed up.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So fun in the adventures. But Spectral Armor also can make a showing in the Conquest. I think we've seen Raffer buy it a handful of times. Raffer experimented with a lot of those newer items, always kind of having the open mind. And Raffer really falling on the Emperor's Armor. Raffer really one of the guys that loves that choice.
Really, really strong pick for whenever you're about to start sieging or when the enemy team is about to start sieging to bolster your own towers or kind of take away from what the enemy towers are doing.
Right now, Gold Fury going to be the focus as Team Rival jumps in and goes for it. Team Rival, they're looking for a little bit of a team fight. Let's ride along with them. Thanks to...
Tricks. I might shoot into you.
I can shell. Nice.
Good job.
Do gold.
Yo, top.
Can you rotate?
Yeah, I'm on. I don't think careful. No.
You want me to tank it?
Wait for me.
2 seconds and I have 10. Okay.
He's gonna jump if you dash on him. No,
I'm going now.
I'm close.
Yeah. Got him. Donning him.
Oh. Can we get him?
Erlang is chasing me. Holding you.
Nice.
And our team fight listed in, brought to you by Sennheiser. Collis hanging on for dear life. No, Ricochet, fantastic team fight coming out from Team Rival, and just a fantastic communication.
Arco might be dead here, or at least have to use the Aegis off this stun, though he does have a lot of help coming. Cuvo finds a stun, Tricks tank there as well, so it will force Deathwalker back. Doesn't need to use the Aegis. Good patience there by Arco, but better patience by Rival. Love the call to just wait. Keep it leashed, but don't try and burst it quite yet. I've got Taunting too, and what is the whole composition built around, Tom?
Yep.
Taunt into Whirlpool, into kill zeros because he beats the beginning of the engagement.
That's what I loved the most about it. Everybody was like, zeros. Watch out for zeros. And then Ice Baby just comes through and he's like, I have a taunt.
I didn't hear a single in the middle of that, Tom.
That's exactly what he sounds like, Ryan.
Clearly not.
I don't know what listening you're listening. I'm listening to the Sennheiser listening. That's the one I'm hearing. I don't know where you're at, but I heard Ice Baby say, I got a taunt in a 2 and a 1 and a taunt.
All right.
That's what I heard.
I want to know, I do not agree with this Warlock Sash third item here for Wolfie. We talk so much about how long this item takes to start ramping up in order to get some effectiveness, and I really think the Gem of Isolation would have been the better pick for him here. This is a team that is already off to a good roll. You're up 4K. Just try and keep it going with a gem.
Hard agree. The Warlock Sash is kind of like we want to stop moving for a while.
Yeah.
Can't stop, won't stop. You got to just keep going right now. You have all the momentum in the world. You want health that bad? Gem of Isolation's got health.
It does. Some CCR as well.
Portal Demon being wrestled. Team Rival have control. Beautiful two-man taunt until all of the damage on the planet. Kraken Man comes through, but it's the god of bees. Vote gets the kill so far. Vote with the Doubleune. And Cubo Fred on the run. Collis looking for the pull. Won't be able to find it, but Portal Demon brought down very low. And DW sends Arkle back to to base.
Arkhill just hates his life right now. Deathwalker's been all over him all game. This Osiris, it's been banned a lot today, and Deathwalker giving you a showcase as to exactly why. Cubo tried his best to get in there and disrupt, but it was already too late. That's what I'm talking about with this composition, as if it can get rolling early on, it is really difficult to handle.
Woof. That's all I can say about Team Dignitas. Cubo Fred trying to fight his way into this Fire Giant pull, but the entirety of Rival gonna collapse on him. Still alive for the moment, same as a Fire Giant, brought down to about 60%. Rival now collapsing back onto it. Thothguy is around. Collins looking for the zone. Ice gets the kill on a Cubo Fred. Thothguy can fire. Too late. Team Rival get the Fire Giant.
Dignitas just too hesitant there. Zeros in particular to try and steal that away. I mean, he's the only one in the neighborhood, but didn't even try and fire off that ultimate. To me, Dignitas looked like they've lost some confidence. I mean, the decision-making just hasn't been there for them in this set. And it's hard not to lose confidence whenever you have a game like Game 2 of this set where you're in control for a large portion of it, you get all 3 Phoenixes and you end up losing. It's hard to kind of keep your head about you, but this does not look like the Dignitas that we're used to seeing.
This doesn't, if we didn't have player cams, I don't know what I would say. But Dignitas and Rival look like two completely separate teams than what we saw online. You know, Ryan, I asked you on broadcast during the regular season. I said, do you think this thing about Team Rival being bad online and great offline is real? And you said, no.
I still stand by it.
What? Look at this team. What planet are you on? Because I'm on planet Rival.
Look, I talked to Deathwalker before the games, before the LAN, and I asked him if he thought that there was any credence to that, and he said that he does think that Rival loses focus during the online phase and starts to focus up again on LAN. And but that in my mind goes for. I think that you can say that for any team, whether it's good or bad. Any team you could say they play better here than here. And for Rival, it just happens to be, are they a little bit better offline or online? Of course they look like they're better online, but I don't think that they are some bottom, middle of the SPL team at any given week online, and then the best team on earth on LAN.
Tricksake immediately goes in, pops the ultimate, too soon, Executus, he's chased out, has to jump on the backside. Deathwalker zoning everybody out, and by the way, Vote picks up kill number 4 as Cubo Fred falls to the wayside. Nice ultimate by the Athena to protect Deathwalker as he tanks out the tower. Little bit of mechanics there. Tier 2. Pocket of Team Rival. They're looking at the Firebird.
Massive Glad Shield heal there by Deathwalker. Going for Shield Stone of Gaia right after Glad Shield makes that heal even stronger.
Zeros from green to red just like that. Barely avoiding death. Left side Phoenix still alive, but just for the moment.
Zeros has returned, finds the stun onto Deathwalker, but they just don't have enough damage to punch through him. He's level 17 with plenty of HP.
Arkle has to jump away. Tricksake relatively low. Deathwalker on the chase. The Phoenix is down. Variety is also being chased. Team Rival show good discipline and pull back, looking for the retreat.
10K already for Rival. I mean, this is a
We're only 21 minutes in.
Dominance from them in this one. And don't forget how dominant they were in Game 1, too. And it wasn't in this fashion. They're dominant here because they're out-fighting Dignitas. They're invading all the time. They're fighting better than Dig, and their draft works really well together. Game 1 for Rival was just perfection in its simplicity. It was, we are doing this. Are you going to come and fight us? No? Okay, we'll take Gold Fury. Or we're going to take this buff. You want to fight us? No? Okay, we'll take this buff too. And that game is still affecting how Dignitas' decision-making has been in this one, in my mind. I mean, it's Dig trying to contest a Gold Fury that is up in the air, but at a point in the game where Rival's composition is going to be stronger. Having a team that dominates you like Rival did in Game 1, where if you do nothing, like Dignitas, doing nothing is the wrong call. Playing patient and playing for the later stages and trying to out-team fight people in the late game is one of Dignitas' classic calling cards.
Absolutely.
Rival take that and shove it in Dignitas' face in Game 1. So in Game 3 here, they're like, well, we can't do that again. Let's try and fight. Problem is, Rival wants that to happen, and they just body them doing that too.
Deathwalker already half in the jungle into the backside. Kraken is going to largely miss, but Cubo Fred down to half. Arkle gets taken out by the support. Deathwalker behind enemy lines, just chewing through the opposition. Ice Baby, 516, gets a kill. Variety is able to bite back and take down Deathwalker. The mid lane Phoenix largely alive here, folks.
That shell saves Ice Baby's life and makes sure that heal goes off from Kalas in time. Mid Phoenix still stands, still not enough to bring it down quite yet. Fire Giant's about to respawn though, and even with 4 members, Rival might be able to do this pretty quickly.
Hey, quick side note. You know slash line for Ice Baby? Mm-hmm. That's an area code for Long Island. It's Nassau County. That's where I'm from. 516.
Thanks for contributing to the broadcast, Tom.
Anytime. What I do want to say, though, is Team Rival over this course of the series has been very scary, particularly because of what you brought up earlier, right? Surgical in game number 1. If game 1 is nip tuck, game 3 is Band of Brothers, right? You have 2 of the opposite sides here going on. You've got 7 minutes separating First Blood and the Titanfall, a total kill count of maybe 9, 7 belonging to Team Rival, right? It was 1 team fight and that was it. Game 3, the opposite. It's all just bang-a-rang, head-to-head action, just complete anarchy, everybody fighting. Game 1, barely fighting until you had to. And game 3, we're gonna do it all from behind. Underneath the thumb of the enemy team, 3 Phoenixes down. Team Rival have shown they can play the slow game. Team Rival have shown they can play the fast game. And Team Rival have shown they can play the losing game. What the hell else do you need from a team?
Nothing, man. This is a team that is a world's contender, a world finalist contender with if they can play this style. There's no doubt in my mind.
You can play every style. Everything has just been on display. Variety tries to look for the flank, brought down to a quarter of HP. Here comes the jungler, great knockup, but where's the follow-up? Gets the ultimate out of Kalas. Good play right there. However, the Athena on the back end. Taunt, Kraken, we'll see you later, Cubo.
Wolfie gets credit for that one. Deathwalker tanking up this tower pretty low here, but not going to fall quite yet. Wolfie low as well. Keep in mind, they've got that Fire Giant sustain and the Sylvanas heals. Rival might be able to stick around and still go for this Phoenix.
I like the knockback coming out from Wolfie, long-range charge. And the Honey going to protect Team Rival. Going to look for a little bit of a heal up here from Kalas. Last time we saw Sylvanas heal and regroup, didn't go so well for Dignitas, but they didn't have a taunt into a whirlpool, into the god of bees. 5, 2, and 6 for the hunter out of Scotland. Votes on a tear. Arkle down to half HP, forced into the fountain. He'll bite back, but the right side is gone. The left side barely alive. Middle, nice and healthy for now.
Cubo is going to respawn soon, but he might be without a solo laner.
Again.
Just like that. Taunt, whirlpool, vote. Gets credit. 17 now for Rival, and this mid Phoenix not long for this world.
25% on the objective. Team Rival looking for it. Team Rival getting it. Cubo Fred sit down for the 7th time this game. 18-6. Team Rival looking for the win.
Double taunt there, double Kraken there.
Oh my goodness.
And Rival is going to be going to Worlds.
Ladies and gentlemen, Team Rival in 3 short games have been able to topple Team Dignitas, the true